evening from Wales, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight news, and reviews on a daily basis. It's Wednesday, 8th of January, 2025. The Rock showed up on NXT last night, and we certainly have a lot to get into, a lot to talk about, and some new NXT champions as well. This is certainly going to be a fun show. And as I always say, for a fun show, I need a fun panel. First things first, let's introduce all the way from Philadelphia, Josh Markowitz. How are you today, Josh?
What's up, Ben? What's up, everybody? I'm doing great. Yeah, we are finally back after a long weekend of wrestling, a great Monday of wrestling, and even a great Tuesday of wrestling, actually, we saw last night. So fired up to be here. A lot of news to cover. This will unfortunately be my last daily broadcast for quite a bit since I got to go back to college, of course, but hopefully we'll get some in between there. Yeah, I know. Tough news, but we're going to make the best of this one, and then hopefully I'll get some in, for the next few weeks and months, but we'll try our hardest, but we'll make the best of this one.
Absolutely. Hopefully we do get to see you in the next couple of weeks for sure. Bobby Petito saying, what's up, guys, and happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to you as well, Bobby. I hope you are having a great day. Also joining us today, you heard him a second ago, we have Soul. How are you today, Soul?
Joyful, Allison, joyful, because you know what happened to me today? I got a message of a good mate of mine. He was like, oh, Soul, something interesting has happened. What? The local Nike store is shutting down. Oh, that's a shame, but why is that good news? Everything's off. Everything's off. So I now have 4 new pairs of swanky danky Jordans, baby. Oh, yes.
Clearance.
Absolute steal.
Yeah, well, you know what I'm going to do. But who knows? Maybe I might put some fun tags at the end of these, customize them to the Young Bucks specifications. But now I'm happy. Maybe out of money, but not much money than these things would be on retail price. I love a good old bargain. But hey, let's get into the topics today for a good old fun news day.
Absolutely. We got Sean Ellis in the comments as well. Shout out to you. And let's just jump straight into talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, shall we? Because rather interestingly, last night on NXT, he turned up. He didn't say much of anything, but what he did acknowledge while he was there was the criticism fans have had about his segments on Monday Night Raw. Specifically the Cody Rhodes one, and he said that people last year were saying to him, why are you being so mean to Cody? And now he's nice to Cody and people are complaining. He once again reiterated that he's always 10 steps ahead. And honestly, when he was talking, as always with The Rock, it was delivered so well that I believed him for a second. I was like, yeah, actually it makes sense now. And then I remembered the Raw after WrestleMania. I mean, that entire segment makes no sense now, but admittedly that was 7 months ago. Maybe The Rock's opinions have changed then. Apart from the fact that he showed up at the end of the Bad Blood pay-per-view only a couple of months ago and did the cutthroat symbol to Cody as well. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I think he's just trying to dig himself out of a grave on this one. I just think it's really, really bad booking. I think it's bad creative. I think it's clear the plan was for The Rock to be at Mania. Now he maybe is too busy or something and can't do it. But like I said on this week's Allison analysis, you shouldn't have started building it if he could not commit to it. They threw money down a drain on this one. And I don't care what he says. I don't believe on this one occasion he is 10 steps ahead. I love Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but this gets a thumbs down from me. What are your thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, I got to agree with you here. Don't make something as big as, you're probably the biggest star in wrestling right now. You're going to get a massive pop whenever you come out. It's The Rock. You're one of the biggest figures in the world, even for non-wrestling fans. So don't build something that you can't commit to. And I know it seems like maybe there's like Moana reshoots that weren't expected. But even if there's a 1% chance you can't make it to Mini, if there's a 1% chance you can't make it to this or that, don't start it. It's just a bad idea. And it seems like that's what's happening. And yeah, I got to agree with you. This is bad booking. This is bad creative. I think they got straight to the point here that The Rock is not working Mania. I don't think he's going to be a big character, a big presence on TV going forward. But the issue here really is that The Rock wasn't just an ordinary heel, 8 months ago for Mania. He was legit a mega heel on the mic, at the press conference, in the ring, in the parking lot. He was a mega heel. He took the biggest babyface, Cody Rhodes, attacked him, busted him open, wiped the blood on him, talking about his mom, and and now they're just hugging, taking shots like nothing happened. Unless we're seeing a twist, which I really don't believe. I gotta agree with you, Ben. I think he's just digging himself out of a hole here. I get what WWE is doing here, but there's different ways to do this. It felt like they shoved it in our faces, and it's just more confusing for Cody than for The Rock, if anything. Now people are wondering, why is Cody okay with this? Why is Cody okay with this guy who just tortured him throughout March and February and April, and now he's just cool or whatever? And I get it's not kayfabe. They're showing The Rock in real life being the good man he is. He's literally the final boss. He's up there on the board. But, don't just destroy kayfabe to the point where everyone is just confused. Shooting is okay, being real is okay, but destroying kayfabe is another thing, and I feel like that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, and it goes back to this comment here from Sean Ellis saying, question, is it just me or is The Rock turning soft? I mean, he certainly has just lost this final boss character, which he spent so long building up last year, and it was so good. To your point, Josh, I do think there's only one way, and it's just come to me, to actually save this entire thing, right? If this is how you turn Cody Rhodes heel, if you have Kevin Owens come out in like a couple of weeks' time and show a video that he's found out that Cody Rhodes has bribed the board of directors, and now The Rock and him are working together and do like this authority thing, like he really is Homelander and all of this. We keep saying heel Cody, but I think that is the only thing which could possibly save this situation. But I can't see it. Good afternoon to you, Rosario, in the comments there. Alexander says the NWO attacks The Rock on Raw 2002. I don't know what the link is there, but great shout, no doubt about it. So what's your opinion on this situation?
I'm surprised we're talking about this in general, because there's a bigger story going on right now. Is the massive copium shortage that is going on by the IWC. Everyone trying to cope with all of this diversion and their lost faith in a storyline that somebody really inserted themselves into the first place. So he's only really shot himself in the foot. All right, let's look at this, right? Is The Rock needed for WrestleMania this year in Vegas? No, in my personal opinion. Were we fully expecting him to be there, given the evidence we were given with the build to WrestleMania 40, the Raw afterwards, and Bad Blood? Yes. Because, as it said, Cody and Rock, they touched belts, wherever you want to phrase that as. They did that. There was a bit weird tension there, and then everyone was like, oh, we got this in the background. All right, Cody's going to feud with AJ, build that a wee bit. Then he's going to feud with KO, build that a wee bit. He's going to win the Crown Jewel sponsored Kingdom Championship, and then it gets put in a vault in a archive somewhere for a year until they come back. But everyone was like, oh, but The Rock thing's in the background, boys. Don't you worry. The Rock's in the background. We're going to get it. And then they killed it in about 20 minutes. Oh, good Lord. Look, here's the thing. With Rock coming out on Raw and NXT, he was just The Rock. There was no final boss. There was no final boss in imagery on the Titantron. He didn't really introduce himself as the final boss. He was like, I'm just The Rock. Setting the catchphrase that made me popular for the last 20 years. Here's the thing, folks. I know The Rock is a movie star more before than anything else. I remember him for The Tooth Fairy and Mummy Returns. That's how I know The Rock. That's my passage with The Rock and Fast and Furious. Him and Vin Diesel getting for the biggest Chrome Dome of the Year award. I think that people are, yes, disappointed, and they have a right to be disappointed with the evidence we were given. We were given the Rock People Championship that was done at the Hall of Fame, the whole WrestleMania 40 build, the Raw afterwards, Bad Blood doing that, and then seeing a picture of Dusty Rhodes on a production truck and saying, I love you, but your son, I despise. And now I'm best friend for your son. I insulted your man. I wiped your blood. I made you bleed in Chicago. I swore at you and said some naughty words, but we can say now on Netflix because it's Netflix. Like, they only have the Rock only has himself to blame for taking on projects he really shouldn't have if he had made a commitment to WWE for a WrestleMania program. At the end of the day, he is somebody on the board of directors. I guess he can do what he wishes. But when it shoots WWE in the foot in a creative plan, they now have to pivot. That's the problem. The funny thing is, though, out of everyone who I think's hurt the most, besides The Rock, really not just showing up, it is Cody Rhodes, because Roman Reigns who could do a storyline with CM Punk linking back to Survivor Series. You have John Cena going for his 17th championship, which I probably think might be with Gunther, because I think that would be a fresh matchup, and I think that would be very entertaining for fans to see. But what about Cody? Do you do Cody and Seth reliving the feud of him being introduced into the company? Do you do Cody Rhodes and CM Punk to, one was a former AEW World Champion while one was in a stupid storyline? I mean, he could never challenge it for again. So it's something that Punk could bring up. Like, I won the main gold in the company that you created. You could have him and Randy Orton with the legacy days. So there are some plans, but it's like Cody Rhodes' whole road path to WrestleMania 41 from 40 has just stopped because the council stopped putting money into the road plannings. Like, he is now at an impasse where I don't know if we're going to get the budget for him to finish the road to WrestleMania 41 for him. There'll be some shenanigans, maybe a bus lane or something that'll get him there, but I don't know. It's a bit shoddy.
I mean, fair enough. I do see what you mean, and you are right. Fans do, well, I mean, undoubtedly should feel frustrated about this. We do have a couple of comments here, specifically this one by Rosantra TV, who is saying you have to, allow the product to keep growing to the masses and to not gatekeep. Just to be clear here, we're certainly not gatekeeping. Here at Wrestling Republic, we like to be the fans' voice. We feature, tons of fans' voices, from casuals to hardcore fans, and we're very, very passionate about doing so. But on The Rock, I completely agree with you. When The Rock is there, that is bringing in eyes, which otherwise probably would not be there. The Rock being on NXT last night was overall, despite the fact that it was a pointless promo, it was still a massive net positive. Why? Well, it brought in so many viewers, potentially the highest ever. We're just waiting for the number. Viewers to NXT, and they saw a brilliant show because last night's NXT was brilliant. It was the first NXT on Netflix outside of the US as well, so there was a huge audience for it. A lot of people got to see it. It was a great show, and it brought so many eyes to it. So undoubtedly a positive. But at the same time, we can all say, what The Rock's done here is a bit bad. Like,
the thing is with that particular comment is that it's not really gatekeeping if we have evidence of critiquing. We have evidences of plans that were set in motion that we, as viewers of this product long term, were expecting. If we just threw it out and said, this is all dumb and dumb, and didn't have the evidence of WrestleMania 40's build, the Raw afterwards, the bad blood, the promos on social media, then that is like gatekeeping and critiquing are two different things. They may be confused, but they're very two different things. And when we're saying this about Rock's plans and us being disappointed, that's only because we have evidences of past commitments of watching this product to get it to the point that it can be now. That's when we have valid, fair criticisms, because at the end of the day, the reason why the WWE's on Netflix and able to garner in new masses of audience is because viewers like us have supported the product for so long, kept on it when it's been low, kept with it when it's been high, when it's been out of price range. I know I paid 800 quid for Clash of the Castle tickets. We have been supporting long, and to say that we can critique it because we're somehow gatekeeping the masses is a bit of malarkey, but it all comes from valid points of criticism with evidence.
Yeah. I can very much see both perspectives, because I do agree with you. So, and I've said this before, hardcore fans are always the ones who are going to spend more money. Your hardcore fans are the ones who are going to spend that ridiculous amounts of money on tickets and stuff like that. But at the same time, you need casual fans. You need that audience to be able to get those big deals, such as the Netflix ones. Because if you're not getting a ton of viewers, they're not going to be interested in those sorts of deals. So both things are true, and that's undoubtedly true. Rossinotra is saying The Rock is repetitive and long-winded these days. Let's be honest, but the heat he has is important. Are they generating new heat-generating characters? Well, yeah, they are. Dominic Mysterio, I think, is the big one. Yeah, I mean, he's getting louder boos than The Rock.
Dom's taken every viewer's fantasy of being kicked in the groin by Rhea Ripley. Some people would pay for that experience, and he got it for free, a paid job. I'm just saying, folks. There was an opportunity there, and it was taken. And now some fans are absolutely outrageous. They're about this height on crazy apathetic venues towards that monstrous experience. But nonetheless, look, they have monster heel-heating experiences like Braun Breaker, who's getting some good reactions. You have Ludwig Kaiser, who even got some great reaction as well. Liv Morgan. You have even, Chelsea Green, negative, she's a heel, but she's still gaining a negative reaction with her heel work, and it's great. But like to say that like The Rock was a heat generating magnet, the people were chanting for him to do the old routines. If you smell, I'm
Yeah,
from
but
here.
last year he was a heat. There
Oh
was
yes,
no denying
absolutely.
last year was
100%.
phenomenal.
Absolutely agree with you on that. But just a recent interpretation, saying The Rock we saw was still the final boss would be lying to yourself.
It's true. He called himself the final boss, and he did say it on his Titantron as well. To clarify, he did say final boss. But you are right, Soul. He was not being the final boss. He was not acting like that guy. And it's so frustrating because they built that up so well, and then they've just chucked it in the bin. I make beats in the comments. Shout out to you. I hope you're having a great day. Rosario says, great point. Shout out to you as well. Rosario saying, I just dislike Office The Rock. Fair enough on that one. But now let's move on. In fact, let's continue talking about NXT for a little bit, shall we? Let's talk about the new NXT champions. Because I was about to call it the black and gold brand. It's now the gray and black, I guess it is. But there is two new champions because Obafemi has dethroned Trick Williams last night. He has finally become the star of that brand, and I think this is going to be the first of many, many world championships that Obafemi wins. But also, and one which personally I'm even more excited about, Julia has dethroned Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez undoubtedly had a brilliant reign with that championship, but Julia, I've been saying it for 24 months now. She is the best women's wrestler in the world, in my personal opinion. And she has come into WWE and she's already NXT champion. It is absolutely brilliant, and the future is so exciting for her. What were your thoughts on all of this, Josh?
Yeah, how can you not love it? It was a great, great show to ring in the new year. And the show really felt like they were really trying to emphasize this is the new year. This is the new NXT. That's really what the show felt like. And honestly, in my opinion, obviously it's great, to have The Rock out there, sell out the stadium, draw the viewership way up. But, this show didn't need, The Rock. Two new champions helped make this show feel like a PLE, honestly. It really didn't need The Rock, but obviously, why not have The Rock out there? But yeah, let's start with Julia. I gotta agree with you. She has that presence. She has that aura that every WWE star wants. That some WWE wrestlers will be, in the company for 10 years and never even find that presence that Julia has, and that's just incredible. And on top of that, she's a great wrestler. She has her butterfly suplex and her Northern Lights bomb, two of her best moves. I absolutely love them. They always look great whenever she pulls them off. And this was a great match. The crowd was chanting, popping every near fall, every close submission. Look, Julia has the tools to be a champ. I'm so happy they finally pulled the trigger. She's only been in NXT for, not that long. And, they already pulled the trigger on her, which I love. But what's next? Here's what I want to see. There's actually so many ways they could go. They could do the rematch, but I think you got to go the money match. I think you have Stephanie Valker dethrone Fallon Henley for the women's North American title, and then you get a champion versus champion, Julia versus Stephanie Valker. That is the match to make. That is the money match. I do think they probably will wait a little bit to make that match just because of how big it is and how important that's going to be to the brand. But that really is the match to make. And I mean, I'm just really excited for Julia. I can't lie. She is phenomenal talent, and just she's gonna be in the main roster in no time, I'll tell you that. But I really hope her NXT run is a lengthy one and a very good and efficient one. But now let's talk Obafemi, the new NXT champion, the Brock Lesnar of NXT, the Goldberg of NXT. This guy, he is an athletic specimen. He is a major, major future. And it's about time he won, the top belt in this brand. There's so many words to say about Obafemi, how great of a wrestler he is. He's good on the mic. He's just like Julia. He's got that presence. Everything about him is very, very good. And I obviously sense we're going to see Trick Williams head to the main roster, maybe debuting, as soon as this Friday. We'll see. And shout out to Trick, by the way, for taking that pin, the triple threat, losing clean, putting over Oba. That's a class act. But I will say the main shot of the night, Julia and Obafemi standing tall, the top dogs in their division. This really, and I think both of you probably agree, this really feels like a great start to the new year. Beyond fired up about both of these decisions. And I think NXT is off to a hot start for 2025.
I could not agree more. And we got a really fascinating comment here from I Make Beat saying, I enjoyed that match too. NXT women are the MVPs right now. And last night, and I really want to, pay credit to this, the first three matches on that card were women's matches, and they were all just absolutely phenomenal. And a lot of these people have only been wrestling in the last couple of years. I mean, Julia's a huge exception to that rule, but quite a few of them are homegrown talents. And it's why I say, there's no excuse in any wrestling promotion not to, give women's wrestling time. Because when you do like NXT has, even if they weren't draws before, they end up becoming draws. They are now, the women draw just as much as the men do in NXT. They're putting on as good, if not better, matches. And yeah, I mean, it's what I always say, and I'll repeat it once again. Professional wrestling is like the stock market. The more time you put into a wrestler, the more likely it is that it will pay off. To get the audience invested into them, they have to be on screen. And NXT have done that with their women's division, and it is on fire right now. It is the best in this industry. And to your point, Josh, Stephanie Vaquette, Julia, that is the money match down the line. That is what everybody has to see. Rosantro TV is saying they aren't making them stars. They have no story to me as a casual. If you watch NXT, there is undoubtedly a story there for them. If you don't watch NXT, of course, you won't know who they are. But to your point, when they go up to the main roster, WWE have to presume people haven't watched NXT. They have to presume they don't know who they are and, reintroduce them. Keep their NXT characters, keep it consistent with that, but reintroduce them to a new audience as well so people are invested. Absolutely fantastic point there as well. Bobby Petito says that he would like to see a singles match between Obafemi and Trick Williams for the NXT Championship before Trick Williams gets called up to the main roster. I mean, we know Drizzy, since I think about last year, has been saying stand and deliver 2025, Obafemi, Trick Williams. I want to see it too. It's not exactly happened the way Drizzy predicted, but even still, I reckon it will be brilliant. I make beat to saying Trick is better when he's chasing a title, in his opinion. 100% agree. Similar to somebody such as an LA Knight. The, really lovable baby faces that fans get behind. You get behind them when they're on the rise. It's difficult to be an underdog when you're on the top. That is, something which we've seen over the years, time and time again. But talking about young stars, talking about, the future of professional wrestling, let's quickly talk about Progress Wrestling, shall we? You guys know me. I love it. Soul loves it as well. There's so many great young talents there. Shout out to Luke Jacobs. Shout out to Rio. They've got really, really bright futures. But Progress Wrestling as a whole, if you guys aren't watching, you need to. They are the best British wrestling promotion in my personal opinion, and I mean that as well. And they have a streaming service which is phenomenal. Really, really easy to use. It's got, 2 times speed and all of that as well, if you're like me and you like adjusting the speed sometimes. And if you use code What'sProgress1, you get 50% off your first month on demand Progress Plus, the home of Progress, Defy, and more. It is absolutely brilliant. I cannot recommend it enough. Thoroughly entertaining. And of course, if you're an international viewer, the WWE Network no longer exists. So you might have a little bit of money in your pocket. Well, there's no better time to spend it or better place to spend it than Demand Progress Plus. Once again, use code What'sProgress1 to get 50% off your first month on Demand Progress Plus. Now let's move on and let's talk video games, shall we? Firstly, before we get into this topic, I mentioned video games. In case you guys don't know, Chaos, I think is going to be every Tuesday now, is live streaming over on our Twitch channel during the day. Make sure to head over there and watch that. He is going to be doing some fantastic stuff over there, playing some games. He was live yesterday. People really enjoyed it. We had a little bit of an issue with some comments because I made an overlay which wasn't transparent, so Chaos couldn't read the comments. That is now fixed for next week, guys. I have amended my mistake. But let's talk WWE 2K25 because in the words of Adam Pearce, it is official. Roman Reigns is the cover star and we're going to get more details for it on January 28th. But Soul, I know you're a big gamer. I want to know your thoughts on this and what you want to see in WWE 2K25.
I just want it to work. That's the main thing. So for context, I play on the PlayStation 5, so I don't know if the experience is different on other platforms, but for me on the PS5, community creations has been utterly broken. Something I like to do on these 2K games especially is download wrestlers from other companies, the other belts, the other shows, and basically have a good old time in universe mode and book cards and matches I would like to see and have absolute fun with that. The problem is, for at least me on the PS5, if I download wrestlers or images from other belts, the files will copyright into other files. Basically, you could have an AEW Dynamite stage with a big old picture of Wardlow's face on the Titantron, and you can't get rid of it unless you delete both files. So massive overhaul and upgrade to community creations, as well as the 100 file limit. It's 2025. When you have a COD running like 150 odd gigabytes, I think there's ways to get around having stupid file limitations on characters. That I think community creations and that whole download thing needs an overhaul for the better. Actual in-game stuff I would like to see, obviously, is just the current batch of roster updates would be grand. I would like to just see, like obviously Julia with Femi and all that, in the NXT people be involved. Updated arenas would be really cool as well. With obviously Roman Reigns being the cover star, I think the showcase mode is most likely the Tribal Chief. The only major problem is that, though, you have to cut out some of the matches, obviously Edge Money in the Bank, Cesaro Backlash, or WrestleMania Backlash, also cutting out the WrestleMania match with him and Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. That's a sorry one they have to cut. And I feel like obviously the unlocks you can get in that, different tribal outfits, you could probably get, The Rock as the final boss as an unlockable, maybe some exclusive costumes for Jay and Jimmy. One final unlock I think would be really, really cool is you could unlock the Ulafala as a championship. So like we have all the belts and you have like the Ulafala as a necklace, and you could do it in a tribal combat match. You could add in like you're playing as Roman Reigns, your opponent's solo, and you can put free AI characters for your team and free for the other team that just run in periodically during matches and like could save you the match or they cost you the match. So like, is that kind of cool element, I think, to add tribal combat instead of it literally just being a hardcore match. I like physical editions of games as well. So special edition, I think, also would be really cool. Excuse me. Would be like the Tribal Chief edition. And in Tribal Chief edition, you get the game, and Ulafala, its replica itself, maybe like a piece of one of Rock's flannels as a memorabilia piece, signed picture of Roman Reigns and stuff like that. I think having that element would be really cool. Obviously, what we saw with 2K24 was different variants of covers. So Roman Reigns, the base cover, I think would be really cool. The special edition, I think, should be Rhea Ripley or maybe even Liv Morgan, because Rhea was on one before, and I think Liv has really been, the main woman for WWE on the main roster for that entire time. So I think that'd be really cool. Obviously, last year we saw the 40 Years of WrestleMania edition. This year, I think, I don't know what you do with that. Maybe just don't, because there's nothing really, I think, special-wise that you could do to allow that. However, I think a really cool synergy branding thing would be is if even the special edition, you give like a 10% accounts. So you entice people that buy the game. Oh, I don't have Netflix, but WWE's on Netflix. I'll just use this 10% off, make an account. Oh, there's actually other stuff in here. I'll watch it. So you get that synergy, because I do think the final match of that showcase mode should also be Solo Sikoa versus Roman Reigns at the Inuit Dome on the Netflix premiere. That allows a cool little synergy. But yeah, I think 2K25 should be good. I'm not pre-ordering it or buying it day one, just because of the history with 2024. I'm going to see how things go. If it's fine, then grand. If it's not what I want, then I'm not going to really play it. Also, add back in NXT UK Arena. I need that for reasons.
I mean, that's a good point as well. I mean, I completely agree with you on the community creations point. Of course, for our real shirt, Wrestling Republic, a little trick which I came up with is putting gameplay for WWE under it. For WWE 2K under it, right? And one, avoids copyright issues. Secondly, increases the time people watch our reels as well. There's a little bit of a secret. Although it's pretty obvious if you just watch them. But the one issue we keep having is hair from community creation superstars not showing up. And it's been an absolute headache to fix and all of that. So I really, really want that patched. And like you said as well, the images getting, mixed up. That needs to be fixed as well. But for me, there is another massive issue. Not issue, but something which could be improved. And it's been a mode which is a massive favorite of mine and a lot of other people. But it's been a mode which has just been ignored pretty much for years. We've seen very little, if any, improvements to it pretty much since SmackDown vs. Raw 2011. And of course, I am talking about Universe Mode. It's got so much potential. It's almost got, the potential of being something like a Football Manager-like game. What's the wrestling one? TES or something like that they call it? Like a simulator type game. you can add in elements of that, make it more realistic, have the AI for it be a lot more smart, because just instead of them just throwing together random matches which make no sense at all, the game mode has so much potential and it's just not being utilized. So I agree with you, Soul, on the community creations, and I'll also add in universe mode as well as to what I want to say. As for the showcase, I'm actually predicting it's going to be something Paul Heyman related, but I think we are going to have to wait and see. I make Beats agree, and he says they need to fix universe mode, no doubt about it. Rosantra is saying that the online gameplay for this game has been awful. That is also true. The servers have been just massively unreliable. Rosantra also says you guys are the kings of wrestling podcasts, and thank you so much. We really do appreciate that. And yeah, he also says that it's so overlooked, the universe mode, and yeah, you're 100% right on that one. Now let's move on to talk about Soul's favorite brand, AEW, because tonight we have a big show. We have AEW Dynamite, and it is stacked. We have a casino gauntlet match for the AEW World Championship opportunity, right? So if you win it, you get an opportunity at the World Championship. There's lots of names who are going to be in it, including Jeff Jarrett and Jay White. Of course, as we know, Jeff Jarrett's trying to have that one more run as a world champion. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but who knows? Bobby Lashley will be taking on Mark Briscoe. Kenny Omega will be returning. MJF will be appearing. And in addition to that, I don't have this on this preview for some reason, but we also have Chris Statlander versus Tony Storm versus Willow, with the winner entering the women's casino gauntlet match, which will be happening, I think, in a week's time or a week or two's time at the, what's it called, Maximum Carnage event that they are doing. So what
Maximum
are you excited?
Carnage.
That's the one. What are you excited for on this card? And also, who do you think is going to win this casino gauntlet?
It's interesting because immediately I think obviously Jeff Jarrett, because they're the one they really built him having a title match against. Obviously it's happening Maximum Carnage, which is in Cincinnati, which is from Moxley's hometown, I believe. I think it is. I don't know. There's a lot of great stuff on this card. But for the Casino Battle Royale itself, I think it possibly could be Jarrett, just so you have that match and you say it's had it. Other people in mind that come to it immediately for me is Brody King, Malachi Black, maybe even, Dax Harwood as a little throw out name out there. Maybe it could be an interesting thing to build, obviously, Rated FTR and the Death Riders. I think as well, we imagine, Powerhouse Hobbs and Moxley. Obviously, they had the New Japan Heavyweight Championship match back at Daly's place that had to end due to stoppage. Maybe this could be the rematch that allows Powerhouse Hobbs to actually get some good offenses and a good showcase. Obviously, though, with these Casino Gauntlet matches, we've had surprises. The last one happened at All In. We saw Nigel McGuinness and Ricochet. So for the one tonight, I mean, there's been rumblings of certain names, a certain, Speedball. I think that could be really interesting if that does happen. If not, I think you have a very fun opportunity here to have some really fun matches and matchups, and just everyone loves the Casino Gauntlet matches. At All In, it was one of the best matches on the card. A lot of people like to talk about. So I'm interested in that. I mean, what about you, boss man? Who do you think is going to surprise us in the Casino Gauntlet match?
I actually don't think we're going to see any surprises today, unfortunately. I think it is just going to be,
that's a cheap answer.
But no, what I do think, right, Jay Lethal is gold, Rosantra TV says. That would actually add a really interesting perspective and dynamic into this Jeff Jarrett retirement tour type thing. So I actually would not be against that at all. I think that is a great shout. Phenomenal Ace wants it to be Darby. He's saying having a grandpa beat Moxley is lazy booking. In fairness, I don't think, whoever wins this is losing 100% at Maximum Carnage. I mean, at the pay-per-view, it's blatantly going to be Adam Copeland versus Moxley there. But wow, there we are. Rosario is saying he thinks Mike Bailey will show up and perhaps win it. That would be a great shout as well. And Bobby Petito saying the same thing as well. That could be very, very interesting. Josh, I'd love to get your perspective on this. Who do you think is going to walk out the winner with a title shot?
Yeah, first of all, Ben, definitely agree with you there that whoever wins is probably not going to win the belt at Maximum Carnage. But yeah, a lot of names to throw out. Mike Bailey is definitely an interesting one. I'm a huge fan of him. Saw him a bunch of times live WrestleMania weekend. He was doing a bunch of indie shows. He's a great wrestler. Not sure how much is going to be. I'm not sure how much of how good of a TV wrestler he's going to be. I mean, obviously we've seen him on Impact. He was great there and TNA, but I don't think if Mike Bailey comes out, he's not going to win. Jeff Jarrett thing is the Jay Lethal thing is definitely interesting as well. He could win. He's also gold. I gotta agree with you there. Jeff Jarrett. I mean, it would be weird for him if he doesn't win. They're gonna do some sort of storyline here, I would assume, because it wouldn't make sense just to throw him in there. He loses clean and then whatever. I think either he's gonna win or there's gonna be some big part of the match where he's involved. I would be really surprised to see him win because it's just like no one can stop the Death Riders, and then let's just take the oldest guy on the active roster and throw him at John Moxley and see like there's just no way. It doesn't make any sense. It's not realistic. So I honestly don't know. If anything, I'm gonna pick Jeff Jarrett just because this whole storyline that's going on. But there is one thing that I'm not sure if you mentioned, but definitely can't overlook this: that Buddy Matthews and Will Ospreay are going 1-on-1 tonight. That's sign me up for that match. That match is going to be absolutely incredible. Two of the quickest, most athletic, entertaining wrestlers in the world. Don't think they've ever wrestled before, so that's gonna be a really fun match. But in terms of the Casino Gauntlet, I'm gonna take Jeff Jarrett. Honestly, I don't want to see it, but I think that's what's gonna happen.
Oh, I do fear that you are correct, Josh, but you are also correct, and I'm glad you're correct about Will Ospreay versus Buddy Matthews. That if it gets time as well, that is going to be a banger. It's honestly those two. It's like you can just tell they've got good chemistry before they've stepped between the ropes. I am pumped up for that. We're gonna have a good Wednesday night of wrestling. I really, really do feel like. I mean, guys, when it comes to the triple threat for the women's casino gauntlet match, I mean, to me, it does seem a little bit obvious, of course, because the winner will get the opportunity in Australia. It's got to be Tony Storm, doesn't it, Sol?
I think it's fair. I would be interested to see. Like, I do think though with the women's casino gauntlet match, we are going to see some surprises. Like, I think Ty Conti will return from her maternity leave. She obviously was in Stardom. I've seen people say Athena, but I think Athena's might be still in Japan because I know she's defending her championship against Takela, I believe it is, in Stardom. So I don't know if that's happened yet or it is happening. So I don't know if the possibility of her there is plausible. But I could see, like legit Layla Hirsch. I could see Red Velvet. I could see Billy Starks. The thing is, though, obviously it's for the Women's Championship match at Grand Slam in Australia. Toni Storm is the most likely to win that just simply because it is Grand Slam. I would like, however, first of all, I think this should main event Dynamite next week. I know people are going to say, well, the Moxley Championship match should take precedence. No, because of this. I think that this should main event. So at the ending, Mariah May finally comes out and they do a wee little promo afterwards. Like, oh, Tony, you fooled everyone here, but you know what? You young upstart. I'm going to give you the match. And when Mariah May shakes her hand and wipes it off, it's like concealer, like skin thing. And like Tony's hand's monochromatic and black, like gray. And then she just beats into Mariah May and wipes her face, and it's timeless Toni Storm. So she's got the monochromatic paint underneath on her face. I'm like, oh my god, she's black and white in real life. She's from the 1950s television. She's back, and she fooled everyone with her great wit and absolute ferocity, with her modern demise, and has taken the Storm alive. That's what they should do because
I don't think that's scientifically possible, is it?
Oh, come on. We have AI booking television shows
Anything
now.
is possible.
We can do that. This is TK and his money. He can invest in some production value for once.
CTI on live TV.
It would be fascinating though. Think about it. That imagery of Toni Storm has finally fooled her protege by being a klutzy new star. And as they, wipe off and it's like the black and white filter thing in real life, how cool would that be?
It would be so awesome. I just don't think there is, logic. I don't think there's scientifically a way you can do it. I don't think there's any way beneath your skin color you can have because you'd have to paint your own skin color on top of the monarch. It wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't be
Adam
possible.
Cole's got spray tan to spare. I mean, it's a funky color, but you can spare that.
Oh gosh, but I mean, I do agree with you though. It's 100% gonna go, you know, like that, like Tony Storm. Although I don't think it's gonna be next week. I think she's gonna get the opportunity, then be like to Mariah, "Oh, I can't wait to wrestle you for the first time." And then Mariah's, like, you know, we've wrestled all this time, and she really does fool her until I think the pay-per-view. I don't think she does the switch until Australia, and I think that's when you get the huge, huge pop when she comes out as timeless Tony Storm, and Mariah May's like, oh no. But it is a fun storyline. I'm invested, and hopefully it works out for the best. I mean, Josh, you got to imagine Tony's taking back the title in Australia, don't you?
Yeah, you got to. I mean, first of all, it's a great storyline. I love what they're doing with Tony. It's really awesome, and all the the YouTube kind of exclusives they throw out there of her walking around backstage, introducing herself, and forget who it was. She was talking to someone that was backstage, and she was like, "How'd I do out there?" Like a rookie, kind of coming in for a trial match. It's great stuff. It's one of Tony's best stories and ideas. Honestly, if it was his, we'll give him the credit though. But it's great, and yeah, I think she's definitely gonna take it back at Grand Slam.
Absolutely. I mean, she
Yeah.
really is just so, so good. Like her AEW one has been all time. There's no doubt about it. But that does bring us to the end of the show, guys. Thank you to everybody who's been in the comments throughout the show. We really do appreciate it. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow to talk a little bit of AEW Dynamite. And we hope to see you guys there. Thank you so much to Josh, and thank you to Soul for joining me here today. It's been a fun one. We will see you guys soon. Pa 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 pa.